Welcome to NRL 360 Rugby League from every angle, brought to you by Regain. Joining me again, the great Gorden Tallis. Let's bring the journos in, Paul Crawley and Andrew Webster. Breaking news tonight with reports from the Daily Telegraph and Sydney Morning Herald of an alleged text exchange between Brandon Smith and Victor Radley relating to alleged drug and gambling charges. Journos, what have you heard about this afternoon?
Look, I was sort of surprised as everybody when these two stories broke about 4 o'clock this afternoon. Braith. Brandon Smith is due to appear in Southport Magistrates Court on Thursday. I think both clubs, probably more the Roosters than anyone, was interested, and the NRL, of course, to see what was said at that hearing, even though it's just a mention. But these two stories, just 2 days beforehand, have shifted the focus from Brandon Smith to Victor Radley in many ways, and we have to make it very clear. Victor hasn't been charged. There's no alleged allegation of wrongdoing, but those text messages, those alleged text messages, are pretty damning, and it raises questions for both the NRL and the Roosters about, you know, what's going to happen down the track. Yeah,
it's exactly what you just said. It's shifted the focus because the Brandon Smith stuff's been out for a while. South played him in the last game. South Sydney have decided, you know, they won't make any statements at all about what's going on until the matter's cleared. From a Roosters perspective, as you said, Victor Radley, no proof he's done anything wrong, no claims that he's taken any drugs or bought any drugs, but the text message exchange is what people around the game are talking about. They're talking about the fact that Nick Politis has said previously he has a zero tolerance and he will get rid of anyone at the club who has been found to be involved in drugs.
Gordy?
Yeah. Oh, well, it's strange at this time of year, but the courts will do their thing. I think South Sydney, like Wayne Bennett's an old copper, right? For him to let Brandon Smith play, I'm not saying it's a storm in the teacup, but I think that'll run its course, generally.
All right, let's have a look at the small sample of alleged text messages between the exchange. This is from the Daily Telegraph. Radley, GT up your cousin in Sunny Coast for me, little short ball. Short 8 ball, if you will. Smith, yep, sweet bro. I'll give you the contact when I get it. Next one. Smith, just call him. That's from Goldie number. He's got people in Sunny Coast. He said to call him and he will give you number. And at the end of the exchange, Radley, all good, bro. You sorted us. Good man. Yep, let me know if you need anything. I'll sort it for you.
Well, look, let's not beat around the bush. That's a textbook, a drug deal going down, allegedly. It's, an 8 ball is, on the street is about 3.5 grams of coke, so it's not like it's a tiny amount. But in terms of what the other text messages say and where that leads for Victor Radley and the Roosters, that's the big question.
Yeah, if alleged text exchange is proven in court, what could the fallout be for both Brendan and Victor here, you think?
From an NRL perspective, there's no proof that anyone has taken drugs or had drugs. So the question is, does it bring the game into disrepute? Yes, it does, if it's proven, if anyone admits to anything. From a Roosters point of view is the bigger issue because it becomes the moral issue. And the moral issue was outlined by Nick Politis earlier in the year, and that is the issue for the Roosters. Because there are no police charges. There's no suggestion the police are going to charge.
Crawls, take it over. These are the quotes here from Nick.
Yeah, well, Nick said earlier in the year, I think it was in the Sunday Telegraph, he came out and said, if somebody's caught doing cocaine or leaning over or snorting something, we're going to get rid of them. Our stance is zero tolerance. We are very strong on it. Trent Robinson is very strong on it. Like, that's a statement. That's a statement about being tough.
Yeah, and as a consequence, from the moment this story broke and the moment the Roosters and Victor Radley were implicated in this investigation involving Brandon Smith, Nick Politis behind the scenes was furious. Absolutely furious, mostly because of that statement there. I can tell you this, that Victor Radley, this comes from several people within the club, was absolutely devastated when it happened, was very emotional when talking to the club about the allegations. So they're not. I don't think they're trying to sweep it under the carpet whatsoever.
No, I'm not suggesting that.
But as I said, so Nick Politis at the moment, I've tried to contact him. He is actually overseas on business, so it's about 3 a.m. in the morning. I dare say he won't be too pleased when he wakes up in a few hours and
Will they be caught by surprise, or did they know this was coming?
As I said, I haven't spoken to Nick. Others that I've spoken to, the Roosters had some inkling that it was coming. They just didn't know what was in the text messages. I actually read a few out to the person I spoke to tonight.
Has there been a response from either South or the Roosters? Have you guys?
The Roosters have said to me they're not making any comment at all.
And South's the same. They won't make a comment until it's completed. But that's the issue from a game perspective. If the cops don't push forward with anything against Victor, there's nothing to answer.
Victor hasn't been accused of anything or charged for anything. Do you think Nick pulls the trigger though after his comments?
That's a big question. I got to say he was very. He was certainly contemplating it when this story broke involving Victor Radley a few weeks ago.
Caught or a picture. In Nick Politis' statement, he goes, if anybody's caught or if there's a picture.
So when Nick said it, when Nick said it, he was throwing a jab at the Broncos over Ezra Mam and how they handled it, and South with how they handled Latrell Mitchell. And in many respects, his comments have come back to bite him.
How do you think? So, if no one's made a call here. Do you think you?
I'm not making a call on that at all.
At the moment, you can't break because they're allegations, they're claims, and as we sit here today, Victor Radley is guilty of nothing.
No one's been accused. I have to say that, and it's all alleged. But it does go back to the golf trip of the Roosters players. I think there were 7 of them, right? Do you think that they'll be dragged into this now?
Well, I think they already have, and that's the thing that's infuriated the Roosters. That's infuriated blokes like Chad Townsend and the captain, James Tedesco. And that's what Trent Robinson was alluding to when he did that press conference and he talked about people joining the dots. He wasn't so much, and I was guilty of misreporting this as well. As it was explained to me, he was talking about joining the dots and implicating all those players, which I've got to say is unfair.
Yeah, it is.
Just because there's 7 of them there doesn't mean they're partaking in the drug use.
Does the text change anything though? Because Robbo seemed very confident, in the situation when he was quoted and commented about it probably a month or so ago.
Was he just shifting the focus though? Like seriously, how does these text messages not change anything? Like if you're in charge of the club and you've got a zero tolerance, you've got a zero tolerance.
That's right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the text messages that
it's not going to pass the pub test.
No,
exactly.
That's right. And the thing is, it's put the focus right on the most powerful bloke in the club, and that's the chairman, Nick Politis.
You seem to be close to the Roosters at the moment with this. Do you think any other? But that's what I mean by with the other players you brought into it. Will they be questioned? Have they been questioned? Is there anything around all that?
I'm not entirely sure. Yeah. I'm assuming the Roosters would want to get to the bottom if they haven't already about what happened on that weekend. Yeah. But I think they're like the rest of us, and the NRL are in this too. Andrew Abdo said something similar to both the clubs. Like they can't do anything until the court process runs its race.
You would imagine from a Roosters perspective too, because of their way that they treat drugs at their club. If there are 7 blokes up there on a golf trip, and I don't know how much cocaine that is, I don't know how much it is, how many people it feeds. Who knows? Yeah. But the club would have to get every person in and talk to them, and there has to be an honesty policy.
All right, from the Roosters to the Bunnies, and you said it earlier, Wayne, he has backed Brandon Smith to the club, and so have South. They've supported him. He's come in. Now, I just mentioned, does the text messages change the Roosters' approach, or what happens there? Does the text messages now change where Brandon stands with Wayne and South?
I think Wayne has been very clear publicly on what he thinks of this, and what they've known previously has basically been said here that, to the man in the street, maybe not to the police, because this is seen as drug trafficking, or what is it?
Yeah.
Drug supply. But to the bloke in the street, it's like it's passing on a phone number.
He's helping out a mate.
Is it not? Is that how you see it? Because that's certainly how I see it.
That's exactly how you would interpret it. He's helping out a mate.
Yeah. Yeah, so that I don't think South will change their stance in that respect. And, you know, the other allegation against Brandon is telling a mate that have a go at me for scoring first try. But again, in that respect, there wasn't any team strategy to help him get the first try.
He shouldn't be charged
just said,
for that. That's
seriously.
That's a player backing himself. I don't have a problem with that.
What I kept hearing out of South is that none of this is surprising because Brandon was upfront about his history when he joined the club, and he was upfront with them when they seized his phone at Gold Coast Airport. So they seem to be standing behind their guy.
And this was days after he'd left the Roosters, and he just joined South.
Yeah. All right. Webber, you spoke to the NRL.
Yeah.
Have they put a statement out?
Andrew Abdo just replied to me. His statement was this.
Well, here it is.
Do you want me to read it?
Yeah,
As it is a live court matter, we will not be making public comment or take any action until the matter is concluded. We are monitoring the process. Once the matter has been concluded, we will consider any potential breaches of NRL rules.
All right, they're standing back at the moment, the NRL, with this. So who makes the move here? Do they make a call or do they leave it to the clubs?
They'll make the call. I think with a matter this serious, they'll come over the top.
So they won't just allow the clubs to take this and make their decision. They'll come over the top.
It seems to be. I don't think there's any hard and fast rule the way they do it. Yeah. But I'd be surprised if the NRL.
If the clubs get on the
top.
front foot, I reckon the NRL will stay out of it.
Sure.
Okay.
But
If it's a serious breach, if it's a serious criminal matter, the NRL will have their.
Do you think it's a serious
sanction.
criminal matter?
I don't think it's the worst crime, but I don't think it's the smartest move from Brandon.
So you don't think the NRL would just be more fines, not so much ripping up of contracts, stuff like that? You don't think it's that serious?
I'd only be speculating.
It's bringing, if anything is proven, what it is bringing the game into disrepute because that's all.
The game's very forgiving. Very forgiving. We've had a lot of bad boys over the years.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of redemption stories.
And
I've
the
written
NRL's
plenty of
illicit
them.
drug policy is very forgiving.
Exactly, but that's right though. Like I mean, you know, whether there's a strike against any of these players, that's under the 3 strikes policy. I don't think you can.
Yeah. All right, before we move on, there is absolutely no suggestion that Radley actually obtained or took illegal drugs. Brendan Smith's case will go to court on this Thursday. Smith will plead not guilty, and once again, Radley has not been charged. Now let's take a look at the big ins and outs for the semi-finals. Thanks to Sportsbet. Stuart names unchanged side from the Broncos, loss for the Raiders. For the Sharks, they name the 17 from the Roosters win. The Bulldogs, Galvin and, yes, Sexton, new halves combination. And for the Panthers, Kenny is named, but it is on the extended bench. Now, the big one, the Bulldogs. Sexton is back in the 7 jersey to partner the man who took it from him, Galvin. This is big news today after all the speculation. How do we see these, Crawls?
What took you so long? Seriously. You know, we watched the game on the weekend,
This is their grand plan, Crawls.
Did we watch the game on the weekend? You know, like we sat here for months and they've tried to convince everyone that Lachlan Galvin will mean more to their attack than Toby Sexton. Toby Sexton walks on the field. First touch, was it?
Yeah.
Scores a try, second touch goes through. Like, he completely changed the way the Dogs... Now, they were so courageous in that game. Yeah. They were, and they had to overcome so much adversity with Kickout's early injury and him leaving the field. Stephen Crichton, Tuala goes down in the second half, mate, and they pushed the Storm all the way. But Sexton was the bloke out there that took charge. He was the halfback. He was the chief playmaker. He not only straightened up their attack, he scored a try, he made runs, he took over the kicking duties. When the team was standing in a huddle after scoring, if you looked at what was happening, it was Sexton barking the orders, pointing the finger, telling everyone how we're going to do it. It was like Lockie Galvin was out there on work experience with him. Like, it seriously was. Like, he took charge of the team. He showed us why he should be the halfback in this side.
You know what I loved? I loved it unlocked Galvin. Like, it's the best Galvin's looked all year, and Burton as well. You know, you've got 2 similar players, I reckon, in Galvin and Burton. And as you said, you've got an organising halfback inside them and look at how they play.
This is the thing that people just underestimate, is that we talk about Sexton, his kicking game, and how they just look like they need a genuine 7 in that team because Galvin's not it. No. Now, most likely, when you've got a genuine 7, it's not so much about what they do, it's how they complement the men around them. You know, it's the balance. It's getting Kickout quality ball one-on-one with a half. It's getting Burton Sherry and Crichton early ball or ball in a good moment when they've got time and space. See, everyone's focusing on Galvin. It's actually like, okay, put a genuine 7 in there and let everyone else around them flourish. I love this move. I love that he's made the call Serrato. Of course, kind of had to be maybe Crichton out, but I give them a genuine chance now. I really do. I think they can beat Penrith.
Yeah, they got a guy that's going to get to the sets, get to the points on the field. Galvin's a runner, Burton's a runner, Tracy's a runner at the back, and I think Reid Marnie too. I would start him.
Yeah. Right,
to get through the first 20 minutes. You know what Penrith are going to do? They're going to try to bully you, blow you off the park, come through your front door, and then Haywood can come on, and that's what
we
used to
didn't
spark
mention that
before.
too. Yeah, but Reid Marnie's named on the bench, so
I'd be starting him.
Yeah.
You know what?
I'd be
You
starting.
spoke about it last night. Young Haywood, good player of the future, but at this stage of his career, no one will convince me that he's a better dummy half than the other bloke. And you mentioned last night, 13 missed tackles. You can't have that. And you've got the other bloke there. It's a sudden death, knockout, elimination semi-final. Surely you've got to put your best team on
Reid's
the
more
park
of a
to start.
starter than a bench player, and Bailey can play a number of positions and come on when the defence is tiring, and he can weave his magic because he's a good ball player, late footwork, and he's got more speed than Marnie. It's a no-brainer for me, and I think if they do start Reid, that they'll be better off for it, especially against Penrith early.
And further to it is that in the extended bench is a bloke called Stephen Crichton, who we thought at the end of that game he's no chance of playing again. Yeah. But the fact he's been named on that bench, so if Stephen Crichton, let's just say a miracle happens,
That's mind games, isn't it?
and who knows?
That's what it feels like.
It probably is because they've played so many mind games with us this year.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know. But let's just say hypothetically, Crichton was to make a miracle comeback and play. What is your halves combination,
Well, that's a good
Braith?
question. That's my halves combination.
You'd stick with Galvin and...
All I know is that I'd have Sexton at 7. And whatever you do,
I'm
I'd probably have
talking 5'8". So do you stick
Burton at 6 and Galvin as
14.
as a 14. That's what I'd do.
Yeah.
100%, no question.
So 14 then is not Bailey Haywood, because if you're starting Reid...
That's a good question.
You know what I mean? Like it changes
hadn't
everything.
It's been their
hadn't
problem
even
all
thought
year.
about
They're
that.
just as one man out. There's
You know
one
what?
odd man out.
But did it
each
have to
side.
be a problem all year? Because it wasn't a
This is the
problem.
point.
We're going to go down that rabbit hole again.
All these changes, right?
Every
all
time
these
on this show,
changes.
that's all we talk about.
Yeah, I know. But you know what? People, I won't talk about what the ratings are like when we talk about it because they
let's go, baby.
they are
Let's do it
interested
again.
in it because it's fascinating. But Reedy's had this big thing about the long-term plan and he's played it hard, right? But while they're planning for the long term, have they taken their eyes off the short term and possibly cost themselves a premiership? He's been big on that. And I was talking to Rennie Matua, who's an we won the comp together in 04, and we actually look back at it. We go, we only had a couple, like 1, 2, even in a team that we had, chances of winning a premiership. And you look at even the Dragons in 2010, South when they won the comp in 2014, was it? Now, and even you, Gordy. The window for premierships are so small, and when you get that window. They'll come in first.
Yeah.
I just it's amazing when you see, and it's not a surprise to me this story's so big.
Yeah, and Penrith, I don't know how they've jammed that window open, but they jammed it open for like 4 years. But it's going to be a small window. Where they were, I'm just looking at where they were halfway through the year. It wasn't broke, and then when they put it in, they might have got it right, but they haven't. So I think it's the smartest move
this time of the
for the
year
Dogs
too.
fans and the Dogs moving forward for this game.
In this season in particular, like we've all spoken about the fact that it's probably the closest competition that we can recall. And there is no genuine standout team, and they're one of the 6 that are still fighting for the premiership. So why worry about next year?
Yeah.
Worry about now.
Win it this year and next.
Yeah.
It's
But you know what? Like we haven't really spoken about too is that there's a number of teams that are stumbling a little bit.
Yeah.
So the floodgates are opening, and if they
Steve
just stuck to
Bradbury's.
their guns, who knows how they'd be sitting right now? They could be one out, one back. Instead, they're one of those teams.
the best coaches in the history of the game have always been able to put they've all had big egos, but they've all been able to put it to the side for the betterment of the team. And if Cameron Serrato and Gus can do that, if this looks like it's the best way forward this season, then they've got to stick with that.
You mentioned Gus. Have we heard anything about what role he's playing there at the moment? Is he letting it all? Is he letting the coach Serrato just take control? He's got a bit of history. Everyone knows
Footage of him
that.
there doing some golf
Yeah,
swings
mate, he was
today.
practicing his golf swing today.
Is that new or old? Obviously.
I
No, but
don't know,
honestly,
it looked
Webby,
quite new.
honestly, what's his role? Because you talk to people at Penrith, right? you talk to people at Penrith, and lately I did, and it was fascinating to hear their take, right? And you hear all the stories, and you've written a book on it.
With Ivan.
With Ivan, yeah.
Yeah, Ivan knew he was in trouble when Gus was
Serious,
just sitting there in the stands and watching for the whole session. That's always an ominous sign. So I don't know. Don't have enough of an in at Canterbury to know the relationship between the two of them. I do know that when I've spoken to Cameron Serrallo even this year about Gus, he says he's been a massive support for him. So
Well, of course he
Did
will
Ivan
be.
tell you the story about
see
James Seguiaro and Appy Coruscant?
go for your life. I know.
No,
that story.
but did he tell you the story in your book?
Can you tell
No,
us?
we didn't talk about it.
So when going back when probably around 2016 sort of time, Appy was there. I think the story goes Ivan had a massive rap on Appy, and James Seguiaro was a very good player, but Appy Coruscant was a step ahead of him, and I think Ivan was of the belief that Appy would be staying and Seguiaro would be going until he heard a news report telling him that Appy was actually on his way to Manly and Seguiaro was staying. So that was the situation
head
back
coach
then.
not
And
knowing.
so
That was the beginning of the end.
that's why we look at it now and you wonder with a couple of these curious decisions this year, people naturally go back to, is Gus up to it again?
Yeah.
Is he playing these mind games?
Ciro was big. He came out hard and fast and said, no, this is all my decision. I own this. He did. He came out and we looked at it, we spoke about it, we showed it. So, you'd like to think it is, but, as if Gus isn't having some sort of input.
It's been the case every single coach.
I'd be shocked.
Where he's been general manager of football.
Yes.
You know?
7 more years.
I know, it's a long contract.
See if the relationship
Yeah, hey, but listen,
blossoms.
you cannot deny what he's built there
Of
and
course.
what Serraldo's done. It's like one of the most modern day rugby league
And even what he did
stories.
at Penrith, like everywhere he goes, there's no
clubs that
denying
he's left.
what he does.
That's right.
But like, in terms of pathways,
Yeah, 100%,
incredible.
and that's what he's done with.
And the
that's what he's
Bulldogs.
done with Canterbury. But it's different with Canterbury to Penrith because Penrith, you know why they had that big window that you talked about? Because they had 9,000 juniors, and Gus got that pipeline going. Canterbury don't have those juniors, but he's been able to recruit all over the place, and he's one of the smartest blokes in the game. And he's got some financial backers in the Laundies and a big leagues club. It's very formidable what they've done there in a short space of time.
Unbelievable.
Often with Gus, there's success, but there's also drama.
God love it.
Yeah, Isaiah Yo's not riding off the Dogs as the Panthers skipper prepares to take on a number of his former teammates.
Well, they're on their own journey, but it's obviously certainly a bit of a Penrith flavour to it. But they've got different individuals, different strengths in their team, and then they play to those. So I just feel like we match up well against one another. We both sort of play a similar style. We like ball in play. We like grinding, trusting your defence. And I think that makes for an exciting semi-final in front of it. I'm assuming just about a packed-out crowd of the course.
Is there a rivalry between these two teams? Do the Bulldogs take the Panthers players, Webby?
They took some. They took the coach. They took
Kick out Burton.
little
Salmon.
Penrith. But Penrith will
Webster.
never admit this publicly, but they kept receipts. They kept receipts on it,
Yeah.
They're very cagey when you ask them about it publicly, but privately, there's, I think it's noted by some people there, particularly those who've been there for a long time.
Well, that gives us a bit more in this game, doesn't it?
nice.
Like it's spicing up a bit, Crawls.
And well, Penrith are the Kings too, aren't they? Like
They're good haters.
it's almost like Penrith have timed their run this year just to perfection. And it's like Mackay Diva coming in the Melbourne Cup and the field's just parting and they're coming through the
Coming
centre
through the
from
middle.
last to first. Because you watch them on the weekend and Nathan Cleary is just a class above at the moment. The way he can control a game and see a game for a bloke who's, 28, 29 now. And he's just at that stage of his career where he sees the game a set, if not two sets ahead of everyone else. And I wouldn't say it was the Panthers at their clinical best, but the way he orchestrated this win with his kicking game.
Yeah.
He was methodical, wasn't he?
He just
It was
kicked them to death,
just
didn't he?
like, you know what I mean? And they're coming up against a team this week that is playing extremely brave.
Yeah.
And
And that
they
was the
never
best-
ever give up. But have they got the class in the key positions to hold these blokes out?
Yeah, that was the best the Warriors have played in about 8 weeks too. So they had a fair bit against them.
I look at it like, Penrith, and I've talked them up, because I think they can win it, the competition, and, because they've won the 4 premierships, I do feel like maybe we're hyping their form at the moment, watching that game. You know, if you go back and watch their last sort of... They've been winning, but they haven't played that good yet. And I think we're all like anticipating them to go to that next level. When you got Nathan and the squad they've got and they've won so much, it's like we expect them to go to this next level. But if they don't, if they continue to play like this, like they did against them, even though Nathan was brilliant, kicking game, outstanding in those conditions, the Dogs are a chance. The Dogs are a genuine chance, you know, especially with the changes they've made. I wouldn't write off the possibility of Bulldogs winning this game.
No way in the world, because the Dogs are so brave, but these blokes are so methodical. Yeah. And little moments in that game, like Dylan Edwards tapping the ball back in and Alamotti getting out of in goal, and all those little things. It's like I agree totally. That wasn't them at their best, but you get the sense they're building for the occasion.
I reckon they got a massive chip on their shoulder, which you wouldn't think of a team that's just won the last 4 comps. You know, they've all these negative headlines about leading up to the final series. They always like a theme. You know, I think when they decide to rest all those players, like, all right, we're going to have to grind this out.
What could they possibly use now?
Yeah.
Like everyone...
Because they feel like
everyone respects them so much.
Oh, not all of them. I think not that many fans.
You heard
There's some in the media they don't like.
So people have written them off.
No, but people will bag them because they're defending premiers.
Outside the Dogs fans, though, do the Panthers go in as the popular team this week or not? I reckon they almost do.
You reckon?
Across the code. And I think that Isaiah Yeo just alluded to the fact that there's a Penrith flavour to the Bulldogs. That has to be a motivation for them as well.
I don't get it. I don't understand the Panthers hate, but there is a lot, the arrogant, cocky Penrith.
I don't get it.
But that's the label a lot of other
good news
sides.
for them.
Mate, hey,
and fans
I would have had a crack at them a few years ago because I think they changed their ways along the way, Webby. I think in the early stages of that team's rise, there was definitely an arrogance about the way they played and a little bit of spitefulness with some occasions.
But now they've got a chip on both, so they're more even.
I have no doubt in the last year or two, the Panthers have taken a more, different approach to the way they play.
All right, despite all of the outrage, Hudson Young has taken full responsibility for his reckless actions on Sunday.
Obviously confronted Reece and just laughed at one of the mistakes that they'd just made, and I feel like that happens every week. But yeah, I need to respect the ref's decision, and the bunkers' decision obviously went against us, and I respect that, and got to hold myself in accountability there that I need to be better in them situations as well, and I will be in the future, and respect their decision.
He's taking full responsibility there, Crawls. I think he respects their decision.
Well, I respect the fact that he respects their decision, but I don't respect their decision. I don't respect the fact that we see players every single weekend across the game, all games, get up in players' faces, and Hudson gets sin-binned, the same penalty as Reece, and not only that, the Raiders don't get the penalty. The referee actually changed his mind. It went from being a Raiders penalty to a Broncos penalty. Like, how does that work?
He stirred him up, Crawls. He stirred him up.
Yeah, but you know what? When you're out in your car, right, and you're driving along and the coppers pull you over and they say, mate, you're going 70 in a 60 zone, you don't have a crash to cop the penalty. So when Ronaldo Mulitalo goes out this weekend, when he goes out this weekend, if he gets up in someone's face, do one of the Raiders have to turn around and headbutt him for Ronaldo to be penalised, or do the refs take it upon themselves?
That's the
because they've set the precedent.
That's all you want is consistency.
It's ridiculous.
No, you don't want consistency. Yeah, absolutely.
What's the difference, mate?
I saw a penalty. Nico Hynes gave a penalty against Teddy in the play of the ball, and Teddy got right up in his face, and that would be
Nico should have headbutted him to get him off the field.
Can we just say that that's not the norm, and the referee got it wrong?
No,
because I don't want to see. I actually don't want to see players.
No,
I don't want to see players getting sinned in for celebrating.
I don't either, but we don't make the rules. The NRL makes the rules, and what annoyed me last night was hearing that Ashley Klein got a pass mark. That's a pretty big stuffer.
There's no rule saying that you should be penalised if you celebrate.
The difference is
the rule, mate.
The difference
he just got sinned in for it.
The difference here is is that
he made it up.
It led to the headbutt, right? Whereas in the other circumstances with Mulitalo, it doesn't lead to anything. It's just there's nothing. There's no incident. So I'm not defending it because I think it was the wrong decision, but I'm saying there is a difference. He's in his face, gets to a point that he reacts, and I said it last night, often when there is a situation that occurs, like a headbutt or throwing of punches, whoever instigates the melee is given 10. It's been done in the past. I don't think he did much to instigate it, but it has been done before.
Yeah.
I'm not defending
and the
it.
fact that the penalty then goes the other way.
Yeah,
You know
that's
what I mean? And they've
that's
admitted that, but
yeah.
it did on the day. So how does
it was a
Klein
big
get a
call.
pass mark, mate?
It's a big call.
Yeah, I don't know. Reece Walsh, he's a survivor, Reece. Hey? He got off.
He got off. Headbutts rule. You can do whatever you want.
As soon as it happened, though,
that's
I'm
consistent.
there and I
No, that's
Googled
consistent. So what do you
NRL
think?
headbutt.
Elaborate, though.
Do you think he should have got a week?
I think he definitely should have got a week. It's a headbutt. And for the NRL to come out and leak all the... Oh, be honest,
So
we've
Morgan
only found...
Smithies.
No, ridiculous. He should have got a week.
Yeah, but they didn't leak anything. We went through all of it upstairs.
The NRL were making
the
that
last
very clear
5
to everyone.
years. We did it through our stats.
Yeah, but don't you think that's insane that a headbutt... You got to play the game. What, a headbutt is just a fine? Come on.
That's a bit of a love
They are
tap.
rubbing
I
out
got sent
blokes.
off at
love tap.
marathon one day.
They're rubbing,
headbutting.
There you go. They're rubbing blokes out for multiple weeks for accidentally falling on the back of ankles and calling them a hip drop.
Listen,
This
it was a
bloke-
send-off in my day.
Walsh headbutts someone, sticks his finger up at the crowd, and good as gold, he's right to play.
But you know what, though? They couldn't have suspended him because, look, 2 seconds Googling NRL headbutt, the first thing that comes up is the irony, Morgan Smithy is headbutting someone this year and getting a $1,500 fine.
All right,
so they couldn't have suspended him.
But Gordy, you said it last night. If that was Nelson Asofa Solomona or Joe
Hargreaves
or Hudson Young, do you tell me what you reckon? You reckon it would have been a grade 1 or a grade 2?
Everyone
It would
keeps
have been a grade 2
saying
headbutt.
that, but what if it was the other way around and it was Reece that dove like Hudson did? Well, everyone would have been saying, oh, Reece took a dive.
Well, that doesn't matter.
Why doesn't it matter?
But Hudson
Because
still
because
if
he
he
still
had
headbutted him.
headbutted, he'd still
what
be
I'm
the
saying
person
is
in the
everyone
wrong.
like it's you know.
But see, that's not
I
just a
don't-
little. That's not a little douce. That's a bang.
I thought it was.
Can I demonstrate a headbutt on you
can
to
go
show you
for
what
it
it
if
is?
you want. I don't think you should have missed a prelim for that myself.
I don't either.
I don't think so. I
But you
just
know
don't.
what? I think that
come
even the
on.
finger to the crowd, mate.
Yeah.
You know, and the hullabaloo about that's followed.
Can I say this about
Is
him?
that okay, though?
I don't think it is, Gordy, because, mate, again, you've got to go back to the fact, and I know former players, maybe you don't want to accept
No, I
this,
didn't.
but your role models out there, mate. And
No,
you
they're
don't
not.
want to be
No,
going
they're
doing
not.
stuff like that. They bloody are.
No, they're
You
not.
can say until you're blue in the
Okay,
face,
well,
they
where's
are
my
to the
textbook?
kids.
I'll
Why
ask you a question.
3,000 kids turn up to get his autograph?
I'll ask you a
because
question.
he is their role model.
No, so they should admire him for what he does on the field. But
They're little
he's
kids,
not a role
mate.
model because your parents are your role model.
You know what?
You see them every day. You see them every minute.
You say that
Sports people, I'll
as
argue with you
as a
until
40,
I go blue in the
45 or
face.
50-year-old man.
Sports
Gordon.
people aren't role models.
Well,
Because
but
there's
they
no
are,
textbook.
mate.
There's no
You know
textbook.
what? They are.
No, they're
they
not.
are. They are.
No, they're not.
But they are to
Definitely
children, mate. People like
No,
us can
because their
sit around
parents
and they
should
might
say you
be
don't
our
do
role
that.
model.
Parents stand over them and say you don't do that.
Yeah, well,
Parents are the role
We've
models.
seen it multiple times. Every time something happens at NRL level, it infiltrates down to the bottom level.
That's not
Yeah,
good.
but
I will
because
say this
parents
about him.
gotta
Can I
be
say this
stronger.
about him?
Yes.
Holy hell, he can play.
Oh, what a yes.
You know what? When he's angry,
Oh, he's-
when he I don't want to evoke I evoke these names with respect, but Wally and Joey, they were at their best when they played angry, and the way that he played angry when he came
That's-
back on was
that's-
that was unbelievable from a player.
His 10 minutes break, that's one of the
Brilliant.
most clinical 10
Outstanding.
minutes.
Like,
Talk about
dominant.
Cleary's 10 minutes, Joey's first 20 minutes in the 2001 grand. That's as good a 20 minutes.
And guess
of
what?
football.
He's playing in the prelim. Webby, how good's that? Eh?
Yeah.
Oh no, that's good.
All right.
That's good. I just don't think you should headbutt
Stick
people.
around.
Call me old fashioned. Sorry.
But he's got nice hair. It
Oh,
didn't
yeah,
hurt.
it's
beautiful
hair.
Great player, loves a headbutt.
I was going to say something I shouldn't have. All right, stick around, journos, and this Thursday following a special final series of NRL 360, Liam Paro headlines a huge card in Brisbane, and you can order it now on Main Event.
Ball stays alive. Cliff Lyons has got numbers and choices. Lyons to Menzies. How appropriate is that?
144 matches you played together. You scored 104 tries. There's a bond there.
Imagine if the other blokes knew how to run like him.
Lyons runs to the line. Inside. Menzies. Try. Lions to Menzies. How many times are we going to see it?
I could watch it all day.
We had lots of fun.
It hits Bozo. He doesn't even turn around. Cliffy, put out that cigarette. Like he's in year 9. He carved up, set up 3 tries. Have a smoke next week. 95 and 97.
Referees' decisions. You know it's a forward pass.
Gets a one hand around the corner. I thought there was a question on it, but the try is there.
What a way to end your Australian career.
Very surreal.
It goes to Menzies. Robertson for the corner. Back to Steve Menzies.
The great thing about a grand final, it's irrelevant if you haven't lost a game through the year. You have 80 minutes to put it together, and that gives everyone a chance.
Welcome back tonight. It's Ray Hadley's face-to-face with Steve Menzies and Cliff Lyons. And Nico Hynes has admitted the Sharks were out to prove a point when they took down the Roosters on Saturday night.
People are going to say what they want about us. They're going to say what they want about me. They have been doing it for my whole career. It's not a worry. No one ever gives us a chance. And I feel like we beat some good teams, or when we win, it's always because who's injured or if they didn't play well. Maybe it did spur us on a little bit extra last week because we had a home final here. People were trying to take it away from us. They say we can't win a home final here. We did. We want to fight for this club to be up there at the top every single year and spoken about in a respectful way. You know, we're not looking in the past now and looking about what anyone says. All we're worried about is how we're going to play and how we're going to beat Canberra this week.
Show us some respect. Now, there is no doubt in my mind that the Sharks, listening to them, watching them, Nico even more so after watching that, there's a siege mentality this year. The last couple of weeks, they're like in the trenches, stuff everyone, who cares what everyone's saying, no one's giving us a chance, we're going to prove everyone wrong, no one believes in us. You can see it. I mean, it is there. And I don't mind it because we talk about how they've had failures in the past when they've got to this point of the season. Do they have the class? Do they have the X factor? Do they have it up here and in here? Now they're using it. They're using all this. They're thriving off all of the media and everyone's opinions of them. And I think it could help them.
They've been flying under the radar. Now they're using their siege mentality. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
It's very. I thought it was very honest. Nico's very honest, and people don't like that with him. He wears his heart on his sleeve. I have to say, I was surprised that he would make those remarks.
But it's good, isn't it?
Why?
Well, I just think you don't normally hear a player talk like that, do you?
No, because he's delusional. Mate, he's been saying for a couple of years.
I think it's delusional. Like, why do we talk about their past record? Because they haven't won finals. You know, why do we sometimes sit here and talk about Nico? Because in big games he hasn't aimed up. I don't think anyone, on the back of the way that they beat the Bulldogs the previous week, I don't think anyone looked at that game last week and didn't give them a great hope. And in fact, a lot of people tipped them to get the upset over the Roosters because they were playing so well. So what they've done the last 2 weeks is completely different to what they've done in the past. But to carry that forward isn't going to do them any good.
No, use what you do for like motivation. It's better than he's been saying, I don't listen to the media, I don't read it. It's better for him to tell the truth and come and say, well, I hear it all, and we're going to try to shut you up.
That's why I think it's.
That's what I love.
That's why I think it's. You don't usually hear a player talk
But
like
that's-
that
but
in the
isn't it
lead up to a
better?
big game like this. But you're right. Cronulla will be judged on what they do in the next 3 weeks. You know,
And the last 2 weeks too.
No, 100%.
Which is different to last
it was
year.
almost like they'd won the grand final because they'd finally got through the semi into the prelim, and it's like it's not going to be enough.
Will they do it? Can they do it? What's going to happen next for the Sharks? So they can just put it up on the slide tomorrow to watch it training to motivate them.
Can't let one of Crawl's columns and just paste it on.
What do you think, though? Honestly, I mean, I watched that game on the weekend. I'll start it off.
Well,
I watched that game on the weekend. The Roosters were diabolical.
That's it.
I think they gave themselves no chance at all to win that game. Worst performance of the year. I watched the Sharks. They were good without being great. If I'm going to look at that game, I'm not going to pick the Sharks and go, they're going to win the comp. Put it that way. I think they meet a side that is bruised and battered, and they are a chance. They're a definite chance. How do you guys see it? Can they win a comp? What's going to happen?
I don't think Cronulla will beat themselves. And the concern for the Raiders going into this game is not so much even physically how they aim up, but mentally. And can Ricky pick them up in 6 days to go again? So that's what we don't know. And it's why you give the Sharks a very good chance because they were pretty good against the Roosters the other day under tough circumstances. They were having sets there where they couldn't get out of their own end.
They don't beat themselves, and maybe the Roosters did beat them.
They got a great back five. Trindle was terrific. Blake Brayley was terrific. And their forwards held their own. They've got a pretty good pack of forwards.
Can they win the comp?
Oh, they're going to have to improve.
You know what?
Everyone's scared to make a call here.
No, I don't think they can.
You're just not setting up people to make fools of themselves.
Just
You
know what I want to know? I want to know if...
No, I don't think they can until they go to the next level. So at Clubland, I think they're really consistent. And they showed that they were super consistent and they won at Shark Park. Now they've got to beat the Raiders.
They got Melbourne the week after.
And if you're ever going to beat the Raiders, it's beating them now after playing 94 minutes.
They can beat the Raiders. I'm just not sure they can go all the way.
I agree.
After all that, did you find an answer or not?
Got nothing.
Oh, okay. He's on the fence. Stick around. Jono's up next. We cross live to Storm halfback Jonah Pezzett.
You know what I was going to say.
Welcome back. Let's cross live now to Melbourne where Storm young gun Jonah Pezzett joins us now. Jonah, thanks for coming on the show now. You were very confident the other night. You performed great in your first final in first grade with the 7 jersey. Now, when Craig made you halfback, were you confident that you could play as well as you did?
I think I always have the self-confidence in myself to go out there and perform to the best of my own ability. And we had a lot of great players in our team that are going to help my game and help me bring out my best on the field. So when he gave me the call on Sunday night, I think it was, he always goes, "You're a confident young kid," so that gave me a little bit more faith as well.
Hey, Jonah, it's Gordy. Tell us here, mate. Talking about confidence, you defended against Kickout. He's one of the best back rows in the game. Has that always been part of your style, as great defence on the edge?
Hey, Gordy, and probably defence as a halfback probably isn't a strength, I don't think. But it's something that I've worked on a whole heap since I got to the club, and it's something that us as a club pride ourselves on, is our defence. And the 2 weeks leading prior, I think we conceded 70 points. So that was something that it wasn't just a focus of myself leading into the game on Friday night, but one for the whole team, that we had to go out there and we all had to make our tackles and stick our tackles. And the blokes around me helped me a whole heap with that on kick-out.
G'day, Jonah. Andrew Webster. Can I ask you, mate, your 40-20 in that game was a thing of beauty. How much work do you put into that sort of kick? And do you look at blokes like Reece Walsh and Daly, Cherry Evans, and do you admire the way that they kick those momentum-turning kicks?
Yeah, for sure. I'm a bit of a student of the game. I'd probably say I watch a fair bit of footy and try and grab things and bits and pieces off all the different players in our game, whether it be ones that are still playing now, like Nathan, DCE and blokes like that, or Joey and JT from the past. But that's Hughesy's little kick where he jumps down the short side and hits that little slice. And he's been working with me a little bit on that, and I've been watching his game as well a fair bit since I got to the club. And he's been practicing that a fair bit at training, and I've just been lucky enough to be able to pull it off.
Jonah, Paul Crawley here. What about the patience you've had to have and the way that Craig Bellamy has developed you? Because you've been at the club for 3 years now, and you've had to wait in line and wait for your moment. And even this year, I think that was your second starting game of the season. Like, young blokes, they get ambitious and they get restless, but you've had to wait your turn. So how has that been, and how has Craig brought you through the journey that you've been on?
Yeah, it's definitely been a long journey. Obviously, had the ACL last year, probably when I thought I was starting to hit my straps a bit after starting the first 3 games last year and then doing that. But the club's been really good and put a lot of faith in me. And when I come here as an 18-year-old kid, it wasn't a rush. It wasn't a rush to try and get out there and play first grade straight away. It was about developing all parts of my game, whether it be, as we sort of spoke about before, with my defence or my kicking game or my footy IQ, but probably most importantly, my body. I think the first 2-3 years, my body probably wasn't up to an NRL standard, and sort of going into the pre-season last year, and then obviously after my ACL, I've put a lot of work into my body and just making sure that that's right to go and be able to play NRL week in, week out.
Jonah, you played with Cameron Munster on the weekend. What's he like to play with, and who's the boss out of you two when you're on the field?
Yeah, he's unreal to play with. I love playing with our man, Man. He sort of lets me take control of sort of the team and sort of the structures around that, and he just gets to float around and do his thing. We know his strength's running the ball, and he'll pop up in the big moments when we need him, and I'll try and just sort of support him as much as I can in a way where he doesn't have to think about too much footy. He can just play as much eyes up as he can and create the opportunities, not just for himself, but the blokes around him as well.
Hey, Jonah, do you think that you're ready for full-time number 7? So if Jerome Hughes comes back, is there a chance that you will move on to get a full-time role somewhere at number 7?
I'm not quite sure yet. I think Hughes chucking pretty well for the prelim. So that'll be his jersey when he comes back into that this year. And always have full confidence in myself to be an NRL halfback and do that week in, week out. Sort of just focused at the moment as putting my best foot forward at the club and preparing the boys and preparing myself, because the next 2 weeks, you never know what's going to happen. It's an NRL final series, and we've seen what's happened in the past with other teams, and even this final series from the weekend, blokes going down, blokes getting suspended, anything can happen. So I'm just preparing myself best I can, week in, week out, and each day to make sure that if an opportunity arises, wherever it may be, that I'm ready to take it.
Jonah, what about your future, mate? You've got the opportunity to stay at the Storm, or as I understand it, there is a clause in your contract where you may be able to go and see what's out there in the market. I think Andrew Voss said during the commentary of that game, if this bloke's on the market, there's 5 or 6 clubs that will take him straight away. Where are you at in your head?
As I kind of said before, I'm focused on the final series for us, but I'm sort of an open book at the moment to any sort of loan deals or whatever that might be from the club. Obviously, the club's had a fair bit of experience in 2020. Obviously, loaning out Harry there for a bit, but as the man in the studio will know, that's sort of his job, and my job is to play good footy and give him the most amount of options that sort of we can as a group look forward to. And but yeah, as I said, my focus is trying to win a premiership this year with the Storm.
Good, Jonah, don't worry, mate. I'll take care of that. I'll do the job. And as your manager, I'm very proud of you, mate. You're outstanding the other night. And good luck over the next couple of weeks, buddy.
Nah, thank you, guys. Thanks for having me on.
There he is, Jonah Pezzett.
So
He's asked him all the tough questions.
He's good, mate. 21 years of age.
You weren't going to ask him.
But
you know what, Braith?
Hey?
You've got to tell us, where's this at, though, like with his contract? Because Fossey said that the other night, and he's 100% right.
As it stands right now, we're looking for... Well, really, technically, he's off contract. He's a free agent because he had I had the clause in there with Jerome. If Jerome re-signs, then he's a free agent. We've been looking for the 1-year loan to a club, but we're not sure where this is going to land right now. You know, it's kind of up in the air. So, but really, right now, technically, he is a free agent.
So what's the preference? For him to stay?
Does he like surfing?
Of course it's to stay. Of course it's to stay, but he's also a smart kid. And Jerome is the 7, and he's just re-signed. And we saw the other night how he plays as a 7. So, you know, there's a lot to talk about.
It's a big decision, though, isn't it? Because when you're talking to other clubs, if these conversations start happening, we saw something about South recently, but it's a big difference between being on loan for 1 year and potentially taking Jonah for the next 5-10 years.
Yeah, there is. There's a lot to
play out. That's I guess that's the thing, isn't it?
It is. All right, thanks, Journos. Tonight, following NRL 360, it's Ray Hadley's face-to-face with Steve Menzies and Cliff Lyons. Welcome back. Up next, it's Ray Hadley's face-to-face with Steve Menzies and Cliff Lyons. Now, if you had to describe both of them in one word, what would it be?
One of them, the best ball player, and Beaver was one of the greatest runners of all time.
Great players. All right, let's get to it. That's it for NRL 360. Now it's time for face-to-face.